You're fantastic. I'm not here to praise you anymore. I'm sure everybody agrees. But when you asked who saw it, a lot of people didn't raise their hands. And one of the things that the Hillary folks perhaps, or maybe the Trump folks, I'm not sure, has been bandied about on Facebook and Twitter, that you don't believe in vaccinations. And I know you're very, very positive all night, but for people who didn't hear your stand, just a quick yes or no, how you feel about children being vaccinated against terrible diseases.
Vaccinations are part of our public health infrastructure. You can be sure this is the swift boat attack of 2016. This is an effort to take us off of the subjects that the power structure does not want us to talk about. So yes, we need vaccinations. What they objected to was that I made the point we need to get the big pharma out of our drug enforcement agency, out of the FDA. We need to get big money out of our regulatory agencies and make sure that they are serving the public interest. They don't like that to be discussed, so they try to make me into an anti-vaxxer, which I am definitely not. Thank you.
Hi, Dr. Stein.
Hi.
Can everyone hear me? Hi, Dr. Stein.
Very well.
Thank you so much for running for president. Thank you so much for saying everything that we are thinking. You are our voice. And I have a question, and I'm wondering if you can share your thoughts on actually making a campaign promise to call for a constitutional convention of the states for a separation of money and state, very similar to how our Constitution separates church and state.
What a cool idea. Okay. Yeah. I mean, definitely. Let me say, this is something that we must do. There are a variety of approaches, so another one is for us to have a constitutional amendment that clarifies that money is not speech and corporations are not people. To address this. So let me agree with you and pledge that I am passionately committed to getting money out of our government. And whether we declare separation of money and state or whether we address it through some other approach, this is something that we must do. So thank you, it's a great idea. And I love that
Hi Joe, do you like my green running shoes?
Oh, beautiful. Yeah.
So I have a call to action leading to a question. Thousands of Native American citizens of our country from over 90 indigenous tribes have gathered Sacred Stone Camp in Cannibal, North Dakota to lead nonviolent civil disobedience to stop massive grid access pipeline, which would destroy their water and their sacred lands. Here in Boulder, folks are rallying in solidarity to show support. Donations of food, blankets, camping gear, and other needed supplies are being collected by Unity Boulder Spiritual Center at 2855 Folsom Street every day. Folks can go to sacredstonecamp.org to donate money and learn more. What can the Green Party do? And I want to give a shout out to Cliff Wilneck, who's supplies. He's a congressional candidate for office. What else can the Green Party do to support this historic struggle?
Well, another thing you can do is to actually go there. I know it's a drive. You can go there to bring stuff. You can also go there to support the civil disobedience, along with these very courageous indigenous leaders who are standing up not only for their homelands, for their water supply, protecting their water supply from this very dirty and dangerous bracken oil, which is the most polluting that there is, and of which there have been many spills, disastrous spills, by some of the same companies that I think, in fact, are going to be overseeing that pipeline and that are overseeing that pipeline. So they're doing what's absolutely essential for their survival, but it's not just their survival, it's all of our survival that they are protecting. So we need to be there in every way that we can. I hope to be there myself. myself in the not too distant future, and we will let you know, and I would urge you to come and join me to spend a day or two there actually supporting them, putting our bodies on the line as they are putting their bodies on the line to protect Mother Earth that we all share. Thank you.
I just want to say thank you for listening. You're really, to me, I just want to say, you're like a flower, very bleak landscape, so.
Yeah. So my question is this, this was just certified for the Colorado ballot a couple of weeks ago, so you might not have heard of it, but the proposed Colorado Amendment 71, and it's sponsored by an industry group. They call themselves Raise the Bar. It's actually designed to drop the bar on people's heads who want to do initiatives, but it would effectively diminish, if not completely destroy, the citizen initiative process in Colorado. And I want to thank Arden Coney, who wrote a piece about it recently. What's your stand?
Yeah, we have to stop them from raising this bar in order to use this bar against us, to bring it down on our heads, on our bodies, on our future, on our water. This is an outrage against democracy. It's having that initiative, that citizen initiative process here in Colorado that has really enabled Colorado to lead the charge for marijuana legalization, to try to stop fracking, to protect our communities from fracking, to lift up Colorado care and advance health care as a human right. So yes, I think everything we can do to stop that.
I just want to offer one footnote. There is a nascent issue committee against 71 that's formed, and because they're Raise the Bar, the issue is Raise the Rafters.
Raise the Rafters. Let's do it. All right. Yes. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. And I want to just introduce Christina Tobin of Free and Equal Elections, who's been so wonderful, really a trailblazer for promoting free and open debates, for promoting independent politics, for promoting third parties. I want to give a big thank you.
Introduction. In the same way about you, Jill, knowing you for years and being a friend outside of the political realm, truly a true human being. And as the president and founder of the Free and Equal Elections Foundation, I stand here honored and humbled to be co-hosting with Student Voices Count our open presidential debate this October 25th at CU Boulder. We look forward to hopefully working with Lauren and Spencer and all the other groups. And my question I have for you, and I hope you can be there and we'll be in contact about that. My question for you is your feeling of the Commission on Presidential Debates. I know you recently filed a suit with Governor Gary Johnson of the Libertarian Party about maybe the corruption of the CPD, and I was wondering if you could educate our crowd about them.
Oh, I would love to.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for asking that, Christina, our favorite subject to talk about. The Commission on Presidential Debates, in the words of the League of Women Voters, they are a fraud being perpetrated on the American public. They have enormous power to control the candidates who participate, the moderator, and therefore the types of questions that will be asked. And they also turn out to control the audience. As the university here learned when you hosted the Republican debate, that they didn't just, this wasn't an open process. This is a very controlled process, because when it's televised, they want to create this dog and pony show that makes people out there think that there is support for these crazy wars, that there is support for the Trans-Pacific Partnership and these ridiculous trade deals, that there is support for big corporate tax breaks, as if they weren't getting off, making out like bandits already to start with. So this is an outrageous institution. In my view, it should be dismantled, and we should have a real public interest institution running our debates. I urge you to be a part of this campaign to open up the presidential debate and to support the debates that Christina is trying to host. Open debates as well, which is very exciting, and I hope to be able to attend that debate here on the campus. But we're not going to let the commission off easy. And I encourage you to go to our website, jill2016.com, sign our petition for open debates, and also sign up to be a part of the campaign. In the last race, my running mate and I were arrested and taken to a dark site and held for 7 hours, tightly handcuffed to metal chairs, surrounded by 16 Secret Service and police and Homeland Security and who knows what else, FBI, I don't know what they were, but they were these like guys that were sort of ducking around corners. And this big facility that was just Sherry and me and one other person who was brought in, who was actually a reporter that was supposed to report the next day on Chelsea Manning's trial. And he was arrested and laywayed so that he couldn't get down to the trial, although he was going to try and get there the next morning. But they held us handcuffed until everybody had gone home, like saying, you guys are so powerful that we have to keep you a secret until the press has all gone home. They were just quaking in their boots. So this time, we are not going to wait until the day of the debate. We're going to start action early and often. We want to have hundreds of thousands of people on this petition, and we are going to deliver the petition to the commission. We're also going to put Hofstra on notice. They're supposed to be a democratic institution. What do they think they're doing, hosting a censored debate that denies the American public knowledge about who the candidates actually are? In this election, at any time, the American people not only have a right to vote, we have a right to know who we can vote for. And we are going to stand up for that right. And I hope you will sign up to stand with me, because if they have not allowed us into the debate, one way or the other, we are going to be there at that debate trying to open it up as the American people deserve. So I hope you will be there to stand with me, because this is not just any old election. We're not just deciding what kind of a world we're going to have. We're deciding whether or not we are going to have a world going forward that can stand up to climate change, that can stand up to expanding war, that can stand up on this crisis of student debt. Our lives depend on solving these crises. If we're going to solve these crises, we need a real democracy. If we're going to have real democracy, we need to start by having an open debate. Our lives depend on having an open debate.
Thank you, Dr. Stein, for taking my question. My thing is about Afghanistan, because I visited that country in the mid-'70s. And anyway, Afghanistan was a pawn in the great game, as you were talking about. Victor Brzezinski called it that. How would you really extricate this country from that country and others, so that we have severely damaged and encourage a view of America that's better than it's been over the years?
Great. All right, thank you. So I have some good news for you.
Yay!
The guy that you were talking about, Zbigniew Brzezinski, the guy whose name is really impossible to pronounce. He's the guy who came up with this idea about American domination of the Middle East and of Asia. And this is what the neocons totally bought into, and it's what the neoliberals have also totally bought into. They're all about American domination of all these countries. Well, Zbigniew Brzezinski just came out with a new idea. He says it didn't work. This idea is dead. The era of American domination is over. It's time for an era of international cooperation. It was really funny because I was having this interview with the Washington Post, this this endorsement interview, which was really funny if you read it, because they called me like a fairy tale campaign. This idea that we could actually have a world based on international law and human rights. They consider that a fairy tale, I must say. To which we responded, oh, so We're the fairy tale and the other candidates are the living nightmare. You know? Which one would you like? You want a fairy tale or a nightmare? You know? And I didn't know at the time. They were like laughing at this idea. They were like laughing, you know, cynically. What a preposterous idea that we could actually have a world that wasn't based on war, that we should have world order not based on war. You know, and then it was the next day that I actually discovered that Zbigniew Brzezinski had changed his mind. And so I don't know, I think I'm going to send the Washington Post that article or something. But it's really, you know, it's really exciting. There are some people actually out there who are not zombies, who are not like immune to what's actually happening in the real world. That policy of domination doesn't work. We need to be a superpower of human rights. We need to be a superpower of democracy, of good work, of supporting hospitals and schools. Instead of bombing hospitals and schools, we need to be building them and supporting them. You know, and we need to work with other countries to address what are truly our greatest threats. That's not only climate change, but it's nuclear weapons, and we need to move ahead and dismantle all nuclear weapons in our lifetime as soon as possible. Starting right now, we can do this. The Russians that we are very busy, you know, beating up on and bashing, it was actually the Russians who proposed during Clinton's time, actually, that we all bring our nuclear arsenals down to 1,000 heads total, and then we work with all countries of the world then to extinguish all nuclear arsenals for once and for all. So the Russians have been inviting us to do this. It's about time we stop log jamming the process. Let's get on with this and get rid of our nuclear weapons.
Okay, we're going to have to make these last two questions rapid response.
Okay, good.
Thank you for taking my question, Dr. Stein. So, to give you context for my question, I was a high school biology teacher for the last 5 years, and I've seen the push of Common Core. I've seen the push of over-testing our students.
Yes.
I've seen the underfunding of our minority students and the poorest students in our country.
Yes.
And so, my question is because this is so under-talked about in the presidential debates from all presidential candidates, I was just wondering, what is your stance on this, and what would you do as president to make the education of our children, our future, better?
Great. We need to fully fund our schools. So every school has an adequate, good budget, that we have small classroom size, we have well-paid and well-respected teachers, and we ensure that kids are coming to school ready to learn. That means getting rid of poverty, which is the biggest obstacle to learning to start with, and we end high-stakes testing altogether. Whether it's Common Core or uncommon core, we end high-stakes testing. We can do testing for diagnostic purposes, but not for the purpose of deciding who lives or dies within the education system. This is a very destructive way of trying to teach. It is not a way of teaching. It is a way of shutting down schools that are dealing with poverty. That's what high-stakes testing is all about. We call for teaching to the whole student, for lifetime learning, bringing back art and music and recreation and community engagement. And we call for stopping the privatization of our schools. We need excellent public schools in every community. To say that parents deserve a choice doesn't do justice to the education system. Parents should not, because if some parents can choose good schools, that means other parents cannot choose good schools. Every parent needs to have a good school in their community as a matter of right. Thank you.
Dr. Stein, my name is Weston. First of all, thank you from the bottom of my heart for running this campaign, keeping my hope alive. I was a huge Bernie advocate. I organized a march here in Boulder. Many of these beautiful faces out here were there to protest election fraud. But yeah, I was a graduate from here at CU. I studied international affairs. Your stance on foreign policy and student debt gravitated me to your campaign early on. But I also canvassed for an issue over the summer to get this on the ballot. And I wanted to ask you, as a licensed practitioner, what your stance on Colorado's Proposition 145 is, also known as death with dignity or end-of-life options.
give you my personal stance. We have not taken a stance as a campaign yet. So, you know, I can't say this is a formal, forever, official stance. But, you know, as a person who's, both of my parents died very long and difficult deaths with Alzheimer's disease. And, you know, I've seen other relatives die very long and agonizing deaths who really wanted to put an end to their suffering, and they could not, and I could not help them as a physician. You know, I think this is something that we owe to people in this day and age. We also owe people proper protections to ensure that this doesn't become another corporate mill for selling early death. And I think that's just a protection that needs to be worked into this, but that's not an impossible quest. I think we can both ensure that people are not pushed into early deaths because it's a, you know, because there's a corporate treadmill for it, which is not hard to imagine how that could happen. But at the same time, there's a very legitimate need. You know, who wants to sit there and watch their animals die agonizing and long deaths? We don't do that. You know, we enable animals to put an end to their agony. Can we not allow people to have the same choice?
We're going to make a little announcement. Do you guys love this woman? Are you going to work for her? Are you going to go over to the booth over here and register so you can campaign for her? Thank you very much.